The third thing I would like to point to you is if you a Macintosh user and you have nothing but Macintosh at home only, you probably need to fill in this declaration form as soon as possible because um, we're gonna be learning Access very soon in week 6, and let's help you to remote access to Access right here. Because in Macintosh they can't install Access. That's something I had to remind you on that. So this web link here is sitting in centralized window. Remember that, please. Okay, that's the first thing I have to remind you. Now today we carry on where we stopped last time, and we talk about internet, right? Internet. That's something that we have to explore a bit, right? And also some of the latest trend in the web. Now, internet is it's a communication channel that we use to um, talk with one another, right? Communicate to one another. Now, this capacity of talking to one another can entertain a lot of people in the world, right? And right now, if you take a look at the statistics of the internet, they're basically about several billions people using, right? Using it. Well, I hope you try not speak too loudly. I can hear you quite clearly here. People on that side, if you not willing to study here, basically you take the attendance, you leave right away. It doesn't matter, but you're disturbing the other. That's a nuisance. That's a nuisance. All right, stop it, please. All right, I don't want to identify you by name. That would be very humiliating. So think about the others who concentrate while you are disturbing the other. That would be really, really old and really, really frustrating. 唔好再傾偈啦嚇！如果你要傾偈咧，你就去3樓度揾個位，好好地坐喺度傾，alright？你嘅聲音咧係會聽到嘅，好大聲添聽到。我唔想叫你個名出嚟，alright？So behave yourself, right? Every time you don't feel like listen, just simply go out and have some airing out. That would be the benefit for the whole class, and not for you alone. Please, okay? I welcome your question, but not your chat, please. Keep that in mind also. Now, the internet is to let you communicate with one another. There's something you have to know. And it has a very big capacity, allowing you to let a lot of people communicate all at one time. That's something you have to know also. That's something we get from our previous learning in the lecture. Now today we try to apply this internet concept into a company, all right, into a company. And that's what we meant by intranet here. So internet is very powerful line. You can put it that way. This powerful line, if used in company, it surely will be more than enough to serve the company needs. Whatever company it is, the size of that company will always be unmatched as compared with the whole internet use in the world, isn't it? Right? And that's why if we can make use of that and let people in the company use it, that company can have the excellent line of communication for sure. Right? All right, so when we define intranet, we always say this is a private network, all right? The private network, as you see here, it's a private network, all right? It's a private network using the internet technology, so to speak, and that's why we call it intranet, okay? So that's the way we think of internet, intranet. Intranet, that's the way we think of intranet. It's a private network of a company using the internet technology. Because the line of internet, the technology in the internet is so good, so it would definitely serve the needs of communication of all companies in the world. Okay. What's the advantage of using the internet technologies to your company alone in a private way? Of course, the way we communicate using protocols, technologies, right, is already familiarized in the world. So if I need to get someone uh, to look after my intranet or private network system, I can employ people helping me. Right, there will be people helping me to maintain the system. That's the first benefit. That's the first benefit of why we go internet technology for the private use. Another good point for that, another good point for that is if you used to internet, you used to intranet too because they basically look the same. No learning curve, no extra learning is needed. Just that this time, this private network may just go around company yourself but not go outside. Right? So that's the things, right? So that's the things. Right. Now, because the internet is branching everyone in the world together, right? If you can still remember last time we say internet actually start from 4C, ARPANET, Cyclades, NPL, and RAN. Cyclades, remember that, is actually having a machine here help you to recommunicate with the outside world, right? So anyone want to communicate with the outside world, if there's another machine next to them, this machine actually helping that person to connect to the outside world as well. That's the cloud, right? Right. So that kind of high connectivity, or high uh, versatility of communication allow internet not only fixing in one place, but we can spread around the globe. In other words, if a company is making use of the internet technology, and that company have maybe one branch here in Hong Kong, maybe they have another branch here in Japan, and maybe they have another branch here in the UK or in the UK, sorry, or in the UK. So they can also branch out together just like internet did, right? And that's why it say here is not a physical network. It's not only that when you say you are using internet in a private way, I can only use it in this room, but not the room outside. No, you can use it in this room, and you can also let this room be branched, right? Be branched out with another room maybe you have in Hong Kong, another room that maybe you have in Taiwan, right? That's the way it's run. That's the way it's run. So it's actually behave like internet, right? And the way we do it is by something we heard of from time to time, virtual private network, VPN, right? Um, you heard a lot of people use VPN today, all right? And as we're so close to China, right? We know the communication link in China is not so easy to go in and out as so free, as to say, as in Hong Kong. So some people in China when they want to uh, visit website, all right, which the government do not allow them to do, they would use the VPN doing that, right? Now, that's a similar concept actually, similar concept for company use that they want to have a very special and private way linked together in such a way that that kind of communication among them, maybe they have many branches in different parts of the world, but they are the same company. They get it encrypted in such a way that even they use the internet connection in the world, the fiber optics that we talked about last time, still no one would find any use of them because they don't know what is inside really, right? And that makes, right, and that makes the communication safe, right? That makes the communication safe, right? And that's why it's also safe here because it's not confining to one location in the world. It actually can spread around the globe, right? So this is also a very key features that we see that if internet technology used in a private way, it's actually letting it to branch out, all right, just like the internet. So that would be nice. And of course, if you branch out in this way, you cannot but experience security problem. That would also be something that you have to bear in mind with, right? Because when you branch out like the internet, the way internet get attacked will also be the way that you get attacked in your own company context. All right, because after all, when you using internet help to branch your company from one place to another, you still have to make use of the public line to get your message travel across from one continent to another continent. All right, and that's why security concern still exists here. Right, and that's why the encryption, all right, the protection that you have to employ when you branch from one place to another, a span around the globe in the intranet context, right? You have you still have to be very careful on that, and that's why they use something um, intensively to protect them. The extra protection, all right. I think most of us, I suppose, sometimes that even mobile phone would need it, would be we would probably have to set up a firewall or two or three firewall to screen out intruders, so that when we are using the public line to transfer some of the private message, we can kind of uh, ensure the privacy. So what is firewall? All right. If you have been to cinema before, right? Firewall is something similar to if you've been to cinema before. We have some people call the usher. You know the usher? Usher? Usher is the one when you go to a cinema watch a movie, you show him or her the ticket, and he or she will show you to your seat. That's the usher. Usher role in the cinema is to check your ticket, see whether you really have that ticket to see that particular movie. All right, that's his job. All right. So that firewall is something like that. It's to check on every in and outgoing messages, so whether they are eligible to come in this network or not. All right. So the more firewall you set up for the machine, the slower the communication is gonna be because there is gonna be a lot of checking, right? But to ensure security here, this is gonna be something inevitable, right? Right now in the world, any computer that we see in the world, they just can't live without firewall because every minute, every second that we go online, there will be lots of evil motive program which we call virus, all right, worms, all right, or so and so ware, all right, adware, all right, spyware, Trojan horses who attach to you, all right. So if you don't have a firewall, you get infected by all those stuff very easily and very quickly, right? It's just like you go naked in ice, right? That would be very detrimental in communication, really. Now, this is a simple architecture. It's a simple setup of of an intranet, right? Let's see if that company have how many group of people, right? Maybe they have 5 tasks to do. One is to support customer. This is one aspect. They have how many aspects here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can make use of the way we separate the surface and communicate or using internet, just like using internet. This is what these diagrams telling you. So the use of internet for a company is like using internet, no difference at all. Right? No difference at all. Just that this network probably will not go outside from time to time, but just confined to the company use. All right, now we always like to make a comparison of internet and internet, and I um, kind of stress that you really have to know this one well because we like to ask you questions related to that in test or exam from time to time, right? Okay, so let's take a look at that table in detail and see how things go here. Oh, internet. If you take that as a euphemism, right? Analogy as a public line, then internet will be a private line, right? Let's put it that way. One is a public line, and a private line. So for the public line here for user, everybody can use it, right? But for private line, that would only the approved user. Only those from your company use it. Anyone outside company cannot, right? Cannot. That's the first difference, all right? In terms of who's using it, all right? That's going to be different. And in terms of how many people using it, as you expected, you see the public line, we're going to be a lot of people using it all the time, right? But for the private line, it's only limited amount of people using it, right, at one time. If your company has about 6,000 employees there, the maximum may only be 6,000, that's it, right? No more than that, right? The second is about the spreading. How far that public line spread out in the world or is unlimited, right? Because it's actually engulfing the world. And that's why you call it internet. The definition of internet is network of network. Remember that? That's the very first sentence you learned from our previous lecture, right? It's network of network, that's internet. Because it's actually covering the world, right? It's unlimited as long as you have a protocol follow for the network communication, you get it, even though this is an electrical wire. Yeah, that's the kind of thinking we have for unlimited. Well, for the private line, you can keep it in one building. Limited means you can confine it to one building, or you can spread it around the globe using VPN concept. In other words, you have a lot of encryption or protection set up, but still, right, this is a flexibility that you enjoy. And three, as we know that the public line has a lot of people using it, so the flow of information over there will be slower because a lot of people using it at one time, isn't it? However, for your own private line, even though you set up a lot of mechanism to check incoming and outgoing messages, still there's a very limited number of people using the line that you're using for communication, and that's why it's faster, right? It's faster in such a way because of the smaller, substantially smaller, to say substantially smaller number of people using it. If your company has 6,000 people, compare that 6,000 with the whole world of internet user, that may be several millions. This is actually a very small number, isn't it? Okay, so of course you will enjoy speed, right? Even though you put on a lot of security mechanism like the firewall, like the encryption, secure socket layer that we're going to talk about more in chapter 8 later. Okay. And number four, security. Now, this is a very key concern that we can see out placing in the public line and the private line. Internet is a public line, okay? Already they got a lot of people using it. If we impose too many checking mechanism onto it, you slow it down further, right? And therefore, security on the internet is never good. It's never good, right? And that's why it's also kind of recommendation that if you are to check something online, it's better be just for information check rather than your own personal email connection. Because if you're using a public line to connect on the internet, like in the cafe, it's very easy that you get attacked because of the poor security system of the router in that particular network. Yeah. But for internet, because you want your company extra safe and therefore you have implemented a lot more mechanism, right? Secure mechanism of it, so that would definitely be having a higher rate of screening out unwanted stuff in that private line or intranet. Now, you have a concept of private now. So this is a private. So this is actually a concept of private versus public. I'm quite sure you have a pretty good idea about public and private. Just that in the world of communication, we rename it into internet and intranet. And that's the kind of language that I'm talking about all the time. That it's not that you don't know IT, just that you have to put that in that language and express it in their way, then people knows that you knew it. Okay? So one is a public, one is a private. Now after the private network is set up, people extend that private to some other private unit, which are different company but have special business connection. And in the business context, we call that alliances. In the business, we always have some alliances. That means they are not the same company, but they are good friends to one another. Just like you have some good friend. Some of you are good friend of yours. Some of them may not be your friend at all, right? So you may have some friend company, right? They also use internet, and they may want to connect with you so that you two can have a better communication in terms of say supply and demand fulfillment. For example, one is a farm. You may be working as a bakery. From time to time, you need flour from the farm to make bread. All right. So maybe the farm intranet and the bakery intranet link together, and that forms extranet. All right. So extranet therefore is two private network joined together. Right. Joined together. Is it joinable? Yeah, it is. This is joinable. Right. It's easily joinable and easily breakable also. Right. But they are all private. Now they join together. They join together because they have a special deal there, so they want the communication among the two companies faster, and that's why. All right. So this is a secure network of the two companies. They, again, they use internet technology, so that makes them branchable, connectable to one another, and they are normally business partners, right? They are partners. When we say that business partner, they form alliances. They may have a legal document kind of signed for one another, so they would be able to contact one another and access the data of one another. Right. However, for company A joining company B or B joining company A, the other company basically is the external parties. That's why you see the word external party here. So you still treat those things, actually, those people, not your company people, which in fact they are not your company people, right? If you are from company A, for example, as the example that we said earlier, bakery, the farm network people, the farm people will definitely be the external parties, even though you two companies is good friends of one another, business partners, right? So still they have to kind of distinguish all those people now connecting to my network. They are friends, but they are external, still external, right? You may wonder, oh, the kind of system that form in this manner, remember the terms, is called this one, iOS. Not the iOS of your iPhone, okay? Don't mix it up. It's a big iOS. They are called inter-organizational. Inter-organizational system. Inter means in between organizational joining system, right? And in chapter 8, we name it e-commerce system, right? This is a much more generic term for that inter-organizational system. But in chapter 8, we call it e-commerce system or online trading system, right? Why would two companies join together? Because one company may be a supplier, the other company may be the user, right? That's a relationship always like that. So if you are selling something, I am using something, what I want to know always is how much that I want to use to produce something you can provide me with, right? And that's the quantity. And that's why they have something called the electronic data interchange, which is to specify the quantity that you can supply me, right? I want about, say, 6 or 8 or 10 bag of flowers or 10 container flowers in a month. Can you supply me with that? That's the quantity, right? That's the quantity. Electronic data interchange is talking something about that. And in business term, we always name that as invoice. Invoice is the order statement from one company to another. And the amount of the items required will, based on the invoice, go to you. Once the invoice is delivered, and that would be the delivery notes, right? Now, for two companies, they join together as partner. One's producing something for the other, and the other is what? When you get something from the others, you have to pay for it, right? And that's why the other one is payment. Electronic fund transfer is a very quick way to settle the amount, right? Maybe you can use PayPal, third party pay for the amount that you pay for the other company. Maybe you use the Visa system, right? Maybe you use the post office system. Maybe you use the Apple Pay system, right? Or the WeChat Pay system, all right? Those kind of systems that we have in the world, or the Samsung Pay system that we used earlier, or Google Pay system, right? All those are electronic fund transfer. The aim of that is nothing but to things, get money settled as quick as possible, or even the government FDS system, right? FDS system. However, as you understand the context right now, that the other parties joining your company is ultimately not your company employee, they are external people, right? Maybe some of the time that the two company breaks, right? Just like divorce in our human world. In that particular case, that the enemy, the company will becomes the enemy. It's very easy, it's happening and always observed in our real world. Therefore, because those kind of external party or partners they could be doing something against us also, all right? They can be a potential danger to us when they go to our network. That's why when two company internal network join together, there should be a way to closely monitor what they're doing so that if they have done something that is outside their scope of rights, the other company can sue them by means of lawsuit, right? So they would always set up something, a concept called the military zone. Now this is a battle concept. The military zone means they basically rival in the whole world of trade competition. But in this time that they may join together because of a common interest. So they guard against one another less than compared with the outside competitors. And that's why they set up the military zone. So this is a level of friendliness that they set up, which in a way that they will monitor those external users closely. Right? So therefore we say that the military zone, the short form of that is DMZ, is an area of the network. It's a place in the network that you closely monitor the other parties actually. And you normally would put a recording machine over there. So whoever the external party using your internal data, you record them just in case that they may be doing something against your company benefit. All right, that would be extranet server. And that's why if you take a look at the setup of the DMZ here is an external server here. This is actually like a CCTV here to kind of recording every action of the other company working, right, with our own data, right? So, and you see there's two firewall here as well. So you are actually paying particular cautious, right? You are particularly cautious about the external party. Now, actually, you also have experience working as an extranet. I don't know whether you notice it or not. If you are at home and when you are downloading the examination past paper, I don't know whether you have tried it or not, all right? I hope you have. Anyway, from our CPCE library, you will be asked of two things. One is your user ID and the student ID, right? And the password. Now, in that particular moment, you actually is an external party which HKCC or CPC is befriend with, so they let you go to their own internal network and get the private document, that's the exam paper. All right. So in that particular context there, you are using extranet too. Or when you order something from Taobao, all right, and you check your own delivery status, you are actually an extranet user also. And that time, you as a customer is like another company to the retail company, right? Or Sunfeng is deliver something to you where you can log into their server to check your uh, things shipping through them or the delivery status of the things that you're expecting. Mm. So here I give you an example. This is an example of extranet. We see we normally would give example of a logistic company like the Federal Express, right? To demonstrate and they say that whenever there's a delivery information here, you can check and the customer can do something like that, and the tracking system is like that. Now, this is also something I'm expecting to see in the coming project. Whatever technology you're using, if you are to give example, this is a very good way that you can give. But of course, the wording here is too much. So when you are to put that one as your PowerPoint, how would you simplify it? Remember that we say that the number of words here less than 10. So you have to make those words less than 10 if this is your PowerPoint, all right, in the coming project. Whatever technology you're studying, blockchain, utility computing, or AR, augmented reality, you, remember we have a chapter called example. Example is the technology usage. You find relevant, you want to talk about it, right? So uh, you want to put it into 4 point, right? Those are the things. So mix all those point 10 words or 5 to 10 words, right? If you see, oh, the customer can prepare the things, get track of things, maybe you have to do some subpoint of prepare, get track, and schedule, right? Level of points, right? And also what you can do. Now this is just a coincidence that I come across an example and I just remember it in your group project you have to give examples, right? So you can follow that kind of way to communicate. Of course you can make it much prettier by having some picture instead of just a QR code here, right? And that would make your presentation slide look much more attractive, right? So this is as an aside that I would like to share with you. Let's return to the PowerPoint slideshow. And then we go on to comparison again. Now we always like comparison. So this is another comparison table, right? That you have to pay special attention to. There are certain things in when you're reviewing for your notes, you have to pay special attention to. One is about the diagram. Right? From time to time, we pay special attention to the diagram. The very important diagram that we have to pay attention to in chapter 1 is the component information system diagram, right? That would be data process information database. Can you remember that, right? Another one is the 5 forces model diagram. Yeah. In this chapter, we have two important tables that you have to pay special attention to. One is the comparison between the internet and the internet. Another one is this one here. It's the comparison between the internet, and extranet. So this is actually the table extend from the previous table. If you can remember this table in full, you can ignore the previous one. All right. So this one all right, access. Access is about what? It's about a user, all right? Anyway, it's about a user. So it's about a user that we see earlier. In internet, right? Now they use the word public. Public means anybody. Anybody. And private, now they have private. The private have two grade of people, right? For internet is your own staff, right? For extranet would be your company partner staff, right? So you can put it there. This is anyone, all right? Let me write it down here. Hang on. Is anyone, right? And this would be what? This would be own staff, my own company staff, right? And this would be what? Partner. Well, the partner is really crap. Let me rewrite it again. Partner. 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 Company staff. Wow, the word company is really crap. Sorry. It's very difficult to write with this pen, really. Anyway, partner company. You can't see it. I just spelled out to you. COMPANY. That's company. Partners company staff. So your own company staff is actually internet, all right? We name them broad private. They are private, okay? Just that the privacy, the degree of privacy now have some variation, right? That's one. On the information, and the information, this is something new. That's something new. For information here in the internet, they normally general. That means they are actually shared information, correct? But for extra internet, that would be typically private information, right? The privacy is actually, if you want to compare the internet and extranet privacy, you're going to find out the internet privacy would be higher. The extranet privacy will be comparatively fewer. We do not say this is less, but this is fewer. All right, that is the full privacy here, right? The full privacy here, right? That is the uh, less complete, all right, less complete here. That means they cannot access every private things in you because you still kind of screen them out from your maybe your HR data, your personnel data. You will not share that with your partner, right? So, so this is a repeat. So that's why these two actually the same, talking about the same thing, right? They are talking about the same thing here, right? So access and user basically the same thing. What they left out is if you take a look back at the table that we showed earlier, where's the table we seen earlier? They would have geographical, speed, and security, but this one would a lot simpler. They just concentrate on who's using it and the information nature Hmm. Now, we basically finished talking about extranet, and that's the one part of the important use of network in a private and public manner. Then we return the focus a bit back to the future development of this particular not line internet, right? How that's going to be like, especially in the major services providing there called the World Wide Web, right? We know the World Wide Web is very important. Now, what's the trend? Let's take a look at this video first before we come up with the detailed discussion of this trend here. So let's take a look at the video here. We got a video about World Wide Web. I think, yeah, World Wide Web is this one. Yes. Right. So let's take a look at that video together, shall we?
The internet is very much alive and kicking. The first generation of internet sites primarily gave information. But with the rise of sites like Facebook and Amazon, the web has become increasingly interactive. On this Web 2.0, it's mostly the user who produces the content. Without contributors, there would be no Facebook, and without people who post information on Wikipedia and their clips on YouTube, there would be no interaction on these sites. Meanwhile, most people have become familiar with Web 2.0. Blogging, tagging, social networking, and social bookmarking have paved the way to a next step in the development of the web. The step to the intelligent and omnipresent Web 3.0.
So can you recall what he just said? 1.0 is one-way communication, right? That's very old day. 2.0 is the keyword you have to mark it down yourself, right? But we're all going to see that very soon. The 2.0 concept is interactivity, interaction. Now 3.0 here is echoing something we mentioned in chapter 1 there. In chapter 1 we call smart, right? It's about intelligent, right? Intelligent, right? It also implies everywhere.
Web 3.0 is not totally different from the web we know now. It is in many respects a continuation of existing techniques. Think of the so-called recommender systems that make a personal approach by a website possible. Amazon has cleverly used this system for a long time now by offering their clients products that other people with the same interests bought before them. And on Last FM, you can listen online to music that caters to your personal wishes. By using smart systems, these sites are in a continuous learning process and they anticipate what their users like or dislike. Important for sites like Last FM or Amazon is that a song or a book gets extra information added by the user. No sudden change of the internet, it changes gradually.
In today's context, that would be Netflix. Last FM is the old example, where if you want to real today's example, that would be Netflix. Netflix doing something like that is actually keep tracking on your users all day, and then they would kind of change itself to accommodate you. Or Apple TV or Amazon Prime. I think Amazon Prime is also doing something like that.
What does change quickly is the look and feel of the web. Simply speaking, the internet is a web full of appliances that communicate with each other by exchanging information. As more and more everyday appliances are connected to the internet, think of telephones, washing machines, and cars, the web is more present, but it will become less and less visible. No big separate computer, but invisibly present in everyday appliances.
So how would that happen in today's world? That would be by means of some kind of special watch, right? Instead of using some of the traditional watch that I'm wearing, people now, more and more people would be wearing something like the Apple Watch, right? Or similar function with the electronic watch, which basically connect yourself with your surroundings, and you can connect with your home, right? For electrical appliances, maybe you set up the temperature there before you got back home, right? Those are all the stuff that we call omnipresent, right? Omnipresent. And that's why I say invisible.
Moreover, all these appliances start communicating with each other through the internet. This may lead to useful additional services measured to meet our individual needs. For the time being, we are not yet dealing with an all-knowing
omniscient computer
which comes close to or even surpasses human intelligence. Writing computer programs which, in a human manner, convert data into useful information, also known as the semantic web, appears quite difficult.
Semantic, the word semantic here means meaningful, meaning, all right? In the old days, if you type HKCC, the computer will know nothing about the four letter H, K, and CC. Right now, if you type something like HKCC over Google, computer kind of know right away that, oh, you're typing something related to education. That's what meant by semantics. So apart from knowing the word HKCC, they also know that you're looking for some learning, education information, right?
And the web,
undoubtedly evolves into an environment
which is intelligent and which will meet our wishes more often, more easily, and automatically.
New
New
services
services
develop because data from various sources can be linked more easily. Moreover, with the good and often wireless infrastructure, these new internet services are always and everywhere available. Your online agenda becomes a personal assistant which, all by itself, for instance on the basis of your profile on LinkedIn, Facebook, or other information, will check your possibilities for new appointments and even take traveling times into account. Your destination and itinerary too will have been sorted out by links between restaurant sites, GPS information, and local weather services. EPL, the Dutch think tank.
Right, that's basically it. This is all about this video that I will share with you. And it's telling you about the trend we call it of the World Wide Web evolved. And then let's return to the notes that we have. All right, the notes that we have here for web evolution. Right now, we still believe that the web is evolved with three generation only, but some people is already proposing the fourth one. The fourth one is still kind of controversial for the time being. So let's take the three step first. The first step is 1.0. Statics mean you just get information from the web, but you're not responding to it. Do we have any experience of the web being static? We have it all the time actually. If you have experienced travel on a bus, if you have experienced travel on MTR, there always a board, electronic board showing up to you say, the next train will come in 4 minutes. You don't have to respond, right? They just kind of inform you. That's 1.0. 1.0 is something like that. They just kind of give information out, you take it, or you just ignore it, okay? So no response needed at all, right? That's the time from 1994 to 1999, actually, right? And then we spent a very long time, right, in the computer use since 1999 to around 2005 or 6. We enjoy interaction. Dynamic content means interaction. The word that I tell you to kind of write down on your notes, interaction. Interaction. Well, my word is really crappy, sorry. Interaction. Interact means you are exchanging something with the others. Exchange is actually another action that we see in network. Share. You share. Why we share? Because we exchange something, right? That's the meaning of share actually. So with the network providing you, you share with the others. You have one thing giving to the other giving to you, all right? So that's the time that we make working together. Collaboration means working together, possible by means of a remote manner. That's why you see collaboration that means remote working is possible, right? And this allow us to make friends, right? Because when we make friends, we actually interact with them, right? We give our time to the other give up the time to us, so that we have a sense of companionship, right? And that's social networking happening in 2.0, right? So 2.0 is actually with us for quite a long time, right? About 10 years until 2008, something like that. And then we move on to 3.0, which is echoing the trend that we learned in chapter 1 concentrating on smart, all right? The concept of smart, S-M-A-R-T. My A and R always come together, sorry, because the other languages I use all the time have similar features like that, all right? Anyway, smart, all right? Smart. You remember in chapter 1, we say the machines and the software are getting smarter and smarter, right? Okay. And how does that smartness present in technology? We see semantic web. The web is getting more and more intelligent, as the video say, right? It's guessing what you want, right? When you kind of interact with it inside, right? Just like Netflix, we kind of guess what kind of movie you really kind of like, right? When you click on the movie to have some time browsing in it, right? And because the web knows, or the computer device know us more and more, it's gonna throw something that we like more and more to us, and this is what we meant by personalization. Personalizations means they know us, they would change, right? The software will change. But how does the software change? The software changes not because of someone writing program to it. It is actually the software itself would self-writing program for itself. So it would change itself to suit your taste. All right? And that's why if you like to watch a particular kind of movie, maybe cartoon a lot, they will throw a lot of cartoon, right? That's the personalization that we're talking about. All right? And more that we are making some intelligent web application. So you see a lot of web is now going something like that. And that's why you observe phenomenon that whenever you browse a web, they always require you to access your cookies, C-O-K-K-I-E, cookies, right? Cookies actually is a key of knowing your action. And in chapter 8, that means next chapter, e-commerce, we're gonna find out more about how we make use of that cookies for marketing, right? So that kind of cookies help these intelligent agents to customize itself. So every time you visit that website, it will give you the kind of past favor that you like back to you, and then you find this particularly useful. And the goal for that, of course, is to tailor-made, right? Tailor-made based on the pattern you gave. This is the behavioral pattern, all right? This is not interactive. This is behavioral. It's much more than interactive. Interactive means you share with the others only, but this is behavioral, right? So the pattern search, and then they would serve you better, and that's why we kind of start thinking of the machine and the software would be able to understand us just like a real living things, right? Or just like a real living things. All right. Here comes something that we like to compare again. All right, from time to time, is Web 2.0, 3.0. Right. 2.0, remember, is interact. Interact means share. Right. That's it. So it's stressing on you give information out and you can take the feedback from the others. If you have changed your home TV into some IDTV, right? This is one example, right? Maybe there's this competition in the TV broadcast which you can vote for a particular person you like, all right? That's actually interaction. So 2.0 is about something like that. 3.0 is personalization. So interact with the user, all right? So you can read information and you can also post information to the other. That means write. But for 3.0, not only that you can read and write, but for 3.0, it has 2.0 stuff plus, okay? Plus that they would now filter what is something that you like, what is something that you do not like, what is something that you would have no response. So your action to the computer will have three categories. You're happy about it, you're neutral about it, you're negatively interacting with it, you don't like it, simply say, you don't like it, free, right? And that's by means of that, all right, they can personalize things. The focus, now in 2.0, they want you to give information, the other give back to you. So they are stressing on a community. Twitter, Facebook, mini blog, right? All those stuff are basically for you to keep the information in and out, in and out, in and out like that, right? So that is community. We call this community. But for 3.0, it's not only stressing on your interaction, it's more on your behavior, right? And that's why this one becomes individual, right? Become we ourselves. It's targeting us. So the way you use the computer, maybe some from the same family, you have a brother, your brother who have his own behavior, right? Maybe very different from you, right? So the web knows right away these two are two different persons, right? That's 3.0. For sharing of information, now the usage of it, okay? In the 2.0 time, a lot of people use blogs, right? And wikis. Wikis is actually a company use of sharing information, right? We talk more about that very soon, right? And in 3.0, we see more and more live stream. Live stream actually means you have a very customized piece of information flow to people, right? And YouTube is adopting that live stream. So apart from sharing, you're also customizing the content according to your needs. And the content is for 2.0, you just give the whole things out and in, all right, without alteration, without any changes at all. But for 3.0, it would add a little bit more something that you like and delete something that you don't like. We call it consolidating. So this is actually weighted, all right? In mathematical terms, we call it the weighted means, all right? You have maybe 80% like a particular color like that, and you have 20% dislike that one. So when they have to mix up something for you to see as a bundle of TV or YouTube channel, all right? They would keep that in mind, all right? That's consolidating. So they have weighted average, learn from your behavior. That's what we meant by consolidating, consolidating. All right, so you give the weighted here. And the application here, and one is web. Web means you can come in and out very easily in the sharing. While for smart app, that means they would have some filtering in it, not a pure in and out. All right, they will also have filtering add to it. How do they filter? All right, they study your behavior. That's the way they tag your behavior onto something that you attach or you're using. All right. But in the old days, they tag the things so that people of the same group see it. So tagging, in Facebook, you tag someone. Why do you tag it? So everybody knows, all right, share the same common experience. For example, you have a photo and people tag you there, and the other people will tag there. And then when we all look at the photo, oh, this is the common memory that we have. So we're sharing the uh, common, common experience of the photo. This is tagging. So tagging is basically used for sharing. With people with the common experience share the same stuff. Now this one they push it further to study your behavior because when sometimes people don't like to be tagged. They're just like me. When I find myself be tagged, I will be untagged, all right? And then in the 3.0 stuff, they will kind of learn your behavior. You're the kind of person who don't like to be tagged always, right? So next time, they will have some mechanism that whenever it says anyone tag you, they will simply untag for you because you have 90% chance untagging yourself, right? When you see someone tag you, right? How about the way people earn money advertising, right? That in and out of the people clicking something is the 2.0 stuff. And in the old days, how people advertise through the Facebook, right, is by your clicking. So they would measure how people click it or not click it. But some of the click may be accidental. So you never really know if the people like your product or service or not, right? So now the new way of measure the advertising expense in a company is, I give something out. If that particular person spent on my stuff for a long time and even write something about it, have more engagement, maybe, you comment on it, for example, then maybe then I can charge you higher in the advertising expense. Well, you just kind of glance it and then you just jump to another things. Then maybe I only have to pay a much lesser price or little price on the advertising, right? That's the new way of advertising. And You may wonder why Netflix and Facebook is selling so much money in the world in the stock market. They have a very high stock price. Yeah, what are they selling? They are selling our preference like that from one thing to another. Finding out people like or dislike actually is very helpful if you are to market something, right? Because you're gonna know what is more effective to some people and what is not effective, right? By means of cost per click, you just know the numbers and that's not representative. But if you be able to know that you basically have real interest in something and you study them and sell to another company, that costs a lot of money, right? To those who want to sell something out. And that's why Facebook is not something free to us, all right? Netflix, neither. Every day they are actually selling selling some of our private information, and then they gain money from our privacy all day, right? And that's why you probably heard of a campaign in the West say we have to cut all our accounts in Facebook, all right, in interactive media because they are actually not so pure as they really are. They are actually charging us in our privacy, all right? So that's something we also heard of from time to time. As for the content there in 2.0, because we are sharing, so Wikipedia is a very useful method. Now the word wiki actually means knowledge transfer. It's not necessarily mean the Wikipedia that we see right now in internet. A company can also has its wiki to share the work experience they have dealing with different customers, right? That's the wiki. So this is for knowledge transfer. Right. A knowledge transfer with different degree and which is much more useful and which is less useful, then you are using a semantic web. So a semantic web add the behavioral concern in it. Now the final say is about here, and that is the data representative program, all right? XML and R. We can take a break for about 10 minutes first, and then when come back later, we spend more time on it, all right? So let's stop here for time being.